When did a doctor's lie cost the life of a loved one? I knew something was wrong with my fiancée Angie in January 2020 when she started coughing differently than usual. She'd had asthma since she was a kid, but this wasn't her normal wheeze. It was dry and harsh and came in fits that left her gasping. I'd been reading about this new virus in Wuhan on Reddit and Twitter, while most people were still focused on the Australian wildfires. The symptoms matched exactly what Angie was experiencing. Angie worked at the international terminal at LAX, checking in passengers from all over the world. She'd been complaining about feeling tired after her shifts, but we figured it was just the holiday rush wearing off. Then came the fever that wouldn't break with Tylenol, and the way she'd sit on the couch trying to catch her breath after walking to the kitchen. Her inhaler wasn't helping at all, which scared me because that thing usually fixed everything. I drove her to urgent care on a Tuesday morning when she woke up saying her chest felt like someone was sitting on it. The doctor was this older guy named Dr. Chapman who'd probably been practicing since the 80s. He listened to her lungs for maybe 30 seconds and told us she had a mild cold. When I mentioned the virus in China, he actually laughed and said I needed to stop reading conspiracy theories on the internet. He told us the Chinese virus was contained to Wuhan and would never make it to America. He said our CDC was the best in the world, and I was being dramatic about a simple upper respiratory infection. Angie was too tired to argue, but I pushed back saying her symptoms were exactly what they were describing in the medical reports from China. Dr. Chapman rolled his eyes and prescribed antibiotics that we both knew wouldn't help with a virus. Over the next 2 weeks, Angie got worse. She started sleeping sitting up because lying down made her feel like she was drowning. Her lips had this bluish tint that made my stomach drop every time I looked at her. I took her back to urgent care 3 more times and saw Dr. Chapman twice more. Each time he got more annoyed with me bringing up the coronavirus. He said I was creating anxiety that was making Angie's asthma worse. By early February, there were cases popping up in Seattle, and I was practically begging Dr. Chapman to take this seriously. Angie had lost 10 pounds and could barely make it up the stairs to our apartment. Her oxygen levels were dropping, but not quite low enough for the ER to admit her. Dr. Chapman kept insisting it was bronchitis combined with anxiety from wedding planning. Our wedding was set for March 21st, and he joked that all brides get stressed before the big day. I started documenting everything with videos on my phone. Angie struggling to breathe after her shower, the way she'd cough until she threw up, the pile of tissues next to the bed stained with pink spots. Dr. Chapman finally agreed to do a chest x-ray in mid-February, but said it just showed typical inflammation from asthma. He prescribed stronger steroids and told me to stop catastrophizing about foreign diseases. Then March hit, and suddenly coronavirus was everywhere. The NBA shut down, and Tom Hanks got sick, and people were panic buying toilet paper. Angie could barely get out of bed anymore, and her fingernails were turning blue. I called Dr. Chapman's office, and they said he was in mandatory meetings about COVID-19 protocols. When he finally called back, he gave this half-hearted, "Sorry bud, turns out you might have been onto something," like he was apologizing for getting my coffee order wrong. By then it was too late. The ER was packed with people coughing and scared. They finally admitted Angie, but there weren't enough ventilators yet because nobody had been preparing. They put her on oxygen, but her lungs were too damaged from weeks of inflammation. The doctor said if we'd caught it earlier, they could have tried experimental treatments, but her respiratory system was already compromised from her asthma. Angie died on March 18th, 3 days before our wedding date. She was 32 years old and had spent her last weeks believing she just had a bad cold because a doctor thought he knew better than the warning signs. I had to cancel our venue and return her dress and tell everyone who'd bought plane tickets that there wouldn't be a celebration. Instead of picking out flowers, I was picking out a casket. Dr. Chapman sent a letter months later when everyone finally understood how wrong they'd been about COVID. It was full of medical jargon basically saying he'd followed standard protocols based on CDC guidance at the time. No real apology, just covering his ass legally. He mentioned how this was an unprecedented situation that no one could have predicted, even though I'd been predicting it to his face for 2 months. I still have the videos on my phone of Angie struggling to breathe while Dr. Chapman insisted American healthcare was too advanced for a Chinese virus to matter. Sometimes I wonder if she'd still be here if we'd gotten a doctor who listened instead of one who thought he knew everything. I'm still angry, and I'll probably stay angry forever because Angie died wearing a hospital gown instead of her wedding dress.